Hey guys, welcome to Chat with KST. It's your girl Kay, and today we're going to be discussing Miss Iyanla Vanson and Miss Eboni Williams and a conversation that recently took place between the two of them. But before I do jump into this conversation between them about bus drivers, I want to advise our YouTube family, like always, that this is indeed a podcast, and being that it is a podcast, you won't be able to see much of any visuals, but stick around for the podcast because it's going to be lit anyway. Now let's jump into what Miss Iyanla and Miss Eboni had to say.
Criteria that we look for in the reality of today keeps us unhappy, keeps us angry, keeps us imbalanced. And then when the men show up, we want to beat them up because they're not living up to our standards and criteria. And it's not working, beloved. It's just not working. So it's not that it's bad or wrong. It's obsolete. It's obsolete. We have to come up with a new way of being. I don't believe in carrying a man. A man has to do for himself. So I think you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it. If he owns the bus.
See, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus driver. But we think that it's another human being's responsibility to give us what we need instead of us building together. I can build with a bus driver. I'd have my little stash over on the side in my prenup, but I could build with a bus driver. You date a bus driver?
All right. So let's dissect this clip first, right? So the first clip that I played was just, Miss Iyanla talking about the criteria that we have for men. And then the next clip I played was where Miss Iyanla asked Miss Eboni, would she date a bus driver? And Miss Eboni said no. Now, for argument's sake, I want to give it a fair shot that we are only listening to 30-second clips, right? And listening to a 30-second clip can definitely misconstrue a conversation. However, if I was asked would I date a bus driver, my answer would be a yes. Why? Because I feel like bus drivers make decent money. Even if they don't make decent money, they make money. It's an income. I care more about the person and the character than I do what you do for a living. Now, does that mean that my priorities may be misconstrued, or, I need to get my priorities straight? Maybe. I just feel like when it comes to my love life, I don't need to be superficial about the person that I build with. When it comes to my career and finances, I'm very, very ambitious. But when it comes to my love life, I feel like I care more about the character and the person that I have laying down next to me than what you do for a living, essentially. But that's just me, right? Now, I feel like based on the clip, watching the clip and listening to the clip, that Miss Eboni, it's from a superficial stance where people say they won't date a bus driver. I feel like it's demeaning. I feel like it's disregarding the person and their efforts and what they do. At 1 minute in the pandemic, bus drivers were essential workers, essentially, right? All these different jobs that we look down upon were essential. And without these people being there to cash out your groceries, without these people being there to deliver your food, without these people risking their lives to make sure that you're able to go back and forth to work by driving these buses, we wouldn't have been able to survive. So everyone has a means and everyone has a way and everyone has a role that they play in society, and no one should be looked down upon, whether you own or you work for someone else, right? But let's see what Miss Eboni Williams had to say, because she did receive a lot of backlash for what she said.
is absolutely nothing wrong with driving a bus. My mother Gloria drove one for years. But could it be that Black America has been sold a narrative of average, regular, and typical being good enough for us? Well, see, that's called white supremacy. And in this case, it takes the form of conditioning Black Americans to happily accept being a permanent American underclass. But see, because I know the truth about Black folk in America, no, average is not and will never be good enough for me. And the gag is, I don't think it's good enough for you either. So out of the 50,000 plus comments posted on social, I only saw a handful that even considered the possibility of a bus owner being a more aspirational position and recognizing that I am actually speaking and pouring into the ascension of Black men when I said what I said. But see, no, some of y'all were too busy naming and shaming me personally and Black women in general as undesirable, gold diggers, and much worse. Now, I suspect that some of y'all are the same men that were bringing home C's and D's on your report cards, only to then be coddled by parents that said, well, that's okay, as long as you're doing your best. Well, listen, I love and believe in the excellence of Black men. So no, my dear, C's and D's or any other form of mediocrity is not okay. No, I will not create a soft place for you or anybody that I love to fall comfortably into the bigotry of low expectations. So I'm going to say one more time. So out of the...
All right. So that's what she had to say. She basically said that society has conditioned Black people, Black women, Black men to accept mediocre. What are you talking about, Kay? But I am in mediocrity. And because we have been conditioned to accept less than what we deserve or less than what we desire, then that's what makes it okay for us to be okay with dating someone who decides to work for someone else instead of creating and building their own. Now, no one is saying there's anything wrong with creating and building on your own. I just feel like as human beings, we all start somewhere. And for me, coming from where I come from, an island where you have to work hard to get it. Being an immigrant in this country, you have to do a lot. You have to do a lot just to feed your family. And being from Jamaica, I was wondering if I wanted to share that or not, but I don't mind sharing it with you guys. But being from Jamaica, essentially, you have to work hard to feed your family. You have to work hard to make ends meet. You have to work hard to get a job. The economy sucks there. There's no jobs just lying around. So coming into a country like the United States of America, becoming a bus driver is a level of an achievement. Bus drivers make what, $30, $35, $40 an hour, depending on how long you've been there. So that would be an achievement, because with that, you can then send money back home to your family and your friends to build something for you, build something for your family and stuff like that. So essentially what I'm saying is, what you may look down upon and think is something mediocre for someone else may be looking at that as their greatest dream. So this is why I mentioned earlier that I don't like to conflate my love life with my financial life, because if I conflate the two, I'm not saying that both of them are going to be held separately, because when you get married, you have to combine finances, and when you're in a relationship, you have to combine finances. But I'm saying, when I'm seeking out a romantic partner, I feel like you seek out a romantic partner based on their characters. when they're flawed in their character, when they're flawed in certain areas where their aspirations or they may not be as ambitious as you may be, that's when you step in and that's when you teach them. That's when you show them, hey, babe, it's more money out here for us to be made. Don't settle for what you already have. So meet that bus driver, like Miss Eonla says, and help to build him up. You sign your prenup, but you help to build him up and say, hey, yo, babe, like, go out there, do this, do that to own the bus. Do this, do that to own your own bus company. Do this, do that. Let's try to, and you plant those seeds within your man who's of good character to develop and build him up. Why do we need these ready-made packages? Why can't we help other people? That's what we're here for as human beings, to share ideas and to help people. But I feel like the issue with us is that we want these ready-made packages. Like, you have to already come prepared and ready-made. And a lot of times we want people who are ready and they're ready-made and prepared when we ourselves aren't prepared and ready. And it's kind of crazy because even her and DJ Envy, and I wanted to get into this last clip, her and DJ Envy, Miss Eboni Williams and DJ Envy got into it. And all these clips that I'm playing on, shout out to the Neighborhood Talk, is where I got these clips from. Okay, so I wanted to just share that as well. But let me play this one from the Breakfast Club. Oopsie. All right.
To understand what people were mad about and understand what people were upset about. So when you're talking about all this brother this and the black man this and the white supremacy this and this, that, and the other, that's all to the side of how you felt about that quote unquote average job, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you, right? One of the comments that I said, and maybe I'm not sure, right? The guy was like, you talk about all this about lifting a brother up and lifting this up and white supremacy and what you do for our people. And then the first thing the brother said was, but your fiance was white. And I'm sitting there like, how do you talk about how much you're uplifting and how much you're going for black people, but that's not necessarily what you're even looking for?
Well, first of all,
Paging Dr. Umar, damn.
Let's address it, and let's not skip a beat. Mm-hmm. So, I would love to know how you, Envy, know what I'm looking for. We never had the conversation.
I'm telling you what people are saying on comments, what I've read, and I'm talking for them. I'm not a bus driver. I'm speaking for the average person out there, because I feel for them, because the bus drive, to understand what people, average person, or what keeps these lights on here on the Breakfast Club. That's right. They keep me booking shows.
Nobody is saying, first of all, this is not about you booking shows.
This is about how I feel. So when you shit on the people that
first of all, Envy, you're dead ass wrong for framing it as me shitting on them.
You don't think I'm shitting on them?
I know it. First of all, I know it wasn't. I think what you're saying right now is irresponsible. I think what you're saying is irresponsible. Envy, I think what you are framing right now in this moment is highly irresponsible. Because I'm going to, if you listen, I'm going to tell you. Because if you were to listen to all of the full Yana interview, the full sidebar, the full episode of Holding Court, nowhere in any of that commentary did I say a cross or negative word about the working class of Black America, of America broadly, or Black men. I'm going to get to the why was my fiance. Envy, let me finish this statement.
Do you know
I'm going to get to.
Just because you didn't mean to hurt somebody, somebody doesn't mean you didn't hurt an average person or hurt a community.
I
can say anything about somebody, but like, I didn't mean to hurt you. But if you hurt people, you hurt people. If people feel a way about you, they feel a way about you, because those people that you talked about are the people that buy your books, that listen to this show, and they're hurt.
Ebony, what about words like average, mediocrity, typical, and the bigotry or low expectations? I think those are the words that hurt the working class.
You can sit here and say, no, I didn't hurt nobody. You hurt people out there that buy your books and follow you and support you.
You asked me to be quiet. Y'all, please. Y'all asked me to be quiet. I listened to your full statement. I understand you have a feeling about it.
22 minutes, and I just spoke for 60 seconds.
She is here to talk to us. We got ours off already. Let Ebony talk.
I'm just returning what to say.
Go ahead.
Don't act like I didn't let her speak. She spoke for 22 minutes.
Go ahead, Ebony. Let her talk. Don't do that. Let her go. Go ahead.
Hurt a community.
So I enjoyed the fact that DJ Envy was able to present the idea of the working class people, because working class people, they're like, well, how can what I'm doing be mediocre? How can what I'm doing be of low expectations for myself? How I've probably, a lot of working class people have pulled themselves up of lower class to make themselves middle class, working class. They've pulled themselves up from food stamps to now doing stuff. They've pulled themselves up from not having food or dinner to pull themselves into a space where they can provide for not only themselves but their family, their moms, their dads. So essentially, I can understand why people would feel like, hey, you know, this is a disrespectful thing that she says, that she wouldn't date a bus driver. And then DJ Envy brings up the white fiance as well. So he slid that in there. So it's like, how can you be advocating for black people while the person that you claim to love and the person that you're with is also a white man? And I feel like most essentially, as I'm listening to this again for the second time, the thing that stands out to me is the message that you're sending to our young men and young women, right? And what their criteria now is going to be, and expectations, what they're gonna where their expectations are gonna be for the man or woman that they now choose to date. Does my man have to now own a bus? Is now the expectation of some young girl going to be that she can't date a bus driver because he doesn't have enough? I feel like we've already had so many young girls, or have so many young girls aspiring to be a rapper's baby mom, or aspiring to be someone's famous's wife or side chick or whatever. Like, there's these aspirations to be with someone famous, and being with someone that is a working class person, it's looked down upon. And it's just like, okay, so if you're going to tell the working class people that they're mediocre and they don't have any expectations for themselves, then tell them how to build their own businesses. Tell them how to transform being a bus driver and being an employee for a bus company to owning their own bus company. Tell them, share that information and knowledge with them. I'm the type of person, I like to point out a problem without bringing up the resolution. But anyway, I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. I know that this was a little bit long-winded, but I really wanted to dive deep into Miss Eboni Williams and what she had to say. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on this. Share your thoughts and comments down below. Do you agree with Miss Eboni Williams that we are playing it small as Black people and need to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and get out of the mediocrity mud? Or do you feel as though you agree with me, where essentially people are coming from far, and as they're coming from afar, they come from spaces and places where they didn't have, and now to have, that's already them being pulled up by their bootstraps? Share your thoughts and comments down below if you listen to this on YouTube. And for those of you who are listening to this through Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we'll talk next time. Laters.